All right, let's get started. Today we are examining a phenomenon that completely redefines what a demonic threat can be. So I need you to forget everything you think you know about simple hauntings or possessions. This isn't about that. This is about territorial conquest. Think about this for a second. We're not talking about some ghost rattling chains in an attic or scaring a single family. What if an entity could claim an entire neighborhood, a town, and declare it a sovereign nation, operating under its own rules? That's the threat we're facing. This is conquest. Just the enemy isn't from this world. And this phenomenon has a name, Marchiosis. It comes from the old Latin word for borderlands, which is a perfect description, because that's exactly what you'll be dealing with. Territories where the border between our reality and somewhere else has been completely erased. So no, this isn't about ghosts. This is colonization. Okay, so let's dive into the core principles here. The first thing you need to understand is what a marchiate, that's the territory itself, actually is. Getting this concept down is fundamental because it's what separates this threat from pretty much everything else. So here's the crucial point. This isn't some temporary infestation that you can just clear out. It's a permanent occupation. The ruling entity, which we call a Martian, literally establishes a claim on the land and then starts rewriting the laws of physics, time, and space within its new borders. Look, misidentifying a Marchiosis in the field is a fatal error, plain and simple. Think of it this way. A haunting is a trespasser in our world, but in a Marchiosis, you are the trespasser in its world, and all of your standard protocols for dealing with a simple haunting, they will fail catastrophically. So how does one of these things even happen? Well, the good news, if you can call it that, is that every Marchiosis follows a pretty predictable and therefore exploitable pattern of establishment. If you understand this process, you have your best chance for early intervention. You absolutely have to know these phases. This is your operational timeline. Phase 1 is really subtle. You're looking for small environmental anomalies. But by phase 3, the Marchian is fully dug in. It's got its own internal hierarchy, and the landscape itself is physically altered. Look, intervention is most effective in phase 1. By phase 3, you're not just performing an exorcism, you're laying a siege. And this is where the sheer scale of the threat really hits home. A Class 2, which is the most common type you'll probably encounter, can last for centuries. A Class 3 can last a millennium, and those 3 confirmed Class 4 cases, those were events that literally, permanently altered the course of human history. What this means for you is simple. You have to tailor your approach. You can't fight a city span in Class 3 the same way you'd fight an infested building. All right, this next part is all about field recognition. And listen to me on this one. Your senses can and will be deceived inside these territories. You have to learn to trust your instruments and your training above everything else. Knowing these signs will save your life. These are those subtle shifts you're looking for at the very beginning, and you can't dismiss them. A flock of birds suddenly changing a migration path they've used for thousands of years, a whole town having the same nightmare over and over. These are not coincidences. They are hard data points telling you a territorial claim is in progress. But do you know what's maybe the biggest giveaway, the single most alien thing about these places? Time itself. Your standard issue chronometer is going to be your most reliable tool. The second you cross a boundary and that device shows time flowing minutes faster or slower per hour compared to the outside world, you've got your confirmation. Now for the toolkit. And I really can't stress this enough. Walking into a Marchiosis without the proper gear and without following protocols is just suicide. These are the tools and the techniques that are going to keep you operational and alive. This is your first line of defense. Psychic shielding is absolutely non-negotiable. It protects your mind from being messed with. A temporal anchor stabilizes your personal perception of time, which keeps you from getting completely disoriented by the territory's distortions. And essence masking cloaks, they basically hide your spiritual signature, making you invisible to the Martian and whatever else is serving it. The reality is, with an established Marchiosis, just getting rid of it completely is often impossible. A countermeasure like planar severance, for instance, that's an extreme, high-risk move. You could sever that piece of reality from our own, permanently. You'd lose everyone and everything inside. And that's why containment often becomes the primary objective. You reinforce the borders to stop the thing from spreading. So all of that is the theory. But
Theory is one thing, and field application is another. We have to learn from the past. These case files, they really illustrate the stakes, but also the possibilities.
The Rottenberg case is so critical because it's our proof of concept. It proves that even a centuries-old Class 3 Marquis site can be dismantled. Yeah, it took the combined efforts of factions that were normally enemies, but it shows these entities aren't invincible. It basically set the precedent for all modern countermeasures. But not all stories have a clean ending. Now we turn to an ongoing threat. This territory has been stable for over a century, and it's under active observation. In a way, it serves as a kind of living laboratory for studying how these things behave over long periods. And look at this number. 347 shaman. There is a chilling precision here. For nearly 100 years, the population of this territory has stayed at exactly 347 people. Births, deaths, disappearances, they are all managed by the entity in charge to maintain this perfect, completely unnatural balance. So, if you take away one single thing from this briefing, let it be this: trust your training, not your senses. The Martian can and will manipulate what you see, hear, and feel. It can make you feel perfectly safe right when you're in the most danger. Your equipment and your discipline, they're the only reliable guides you have. That concludes your briefing. The things we've discussed today represent a genuine evolving threat. Your job is to recognize it, analyze it, and contain it. The final question really isn't if another border will be claimed, but when. Stay vigilant.